So you've probably seen the video where I revamped our existing 12 by 12 deck out back. Now I'm going to show you how I put a deck addition on another level down lower, right beside of that deck. Something I've been wanting to do for about four years now, almost 4 years. It's about 12 foot by 16 foot, 192 square feet. Let's check out how that works. And before we get started, I just want to make one thing clear. All y'all that's going to come out and say, you need to get rid of all that grass in there first. I ain't getting rid of the grass. The grass will naturally just not have enough sunlight. It will perish. It will not start shooting up through the deck. You don't have to worry about it. It's going to suffer and die just like you want it to. The next thing is that I know you're supposed to have 2 by 10 going around the skirt, and then you're supposed to have 2 by 8 joists or whatever, blah, 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 by local building code 19.765-D. I'm not doing all that. I'm putting some 2 by 6s as my joists, which, in case you don't know, that's the boards that go underneath and support the deck. The top is going to be 5/4 inch boards, and I know you're saying that's a top heavy fraction, Chad. How are you figuring that? It's called a 5/4 because it actually is 1 1/4 inch board, so they just call it a 5/4 to make a top heavy fraction for all you mathematicians out there that's going to get on me for about that. And then it's going to be a 6-inch wide board, which is nominally 5.5, and they're going to be 12 foot long, and they're going to be going side to side, which means that my joists are going to be going front to back. Time to get started. First thing we got to do is put that ledger board going all the way on these 2 brick walls in here, and then on the other side we've got these posts on the existing deck. I'm tying in a ledger board going across to that, and then the front itself is going to be supported on its own. Now I'll tell you a little trick that I'm using on this. I decided to run one center joist, kind of splitting it in half so that then I can put 8-footers on either side of that to add up to be 16 feet, and then they would screw into the 6-foot joist or the 12-foot joist going across. These boards, when you get them, you think, oh, okay, it's 8 feet. I'll just make this board 8 feet. Measure them first, because this one is actually 8 foot and 3/8 of an inch long. So to save myself also another way, so they don't have to cut all 18 of the joist boards I'm going to have to put in here. This way I only have to cut 9. I set that center at 8 foot and 3/8, so that this first run of 9 boards going across this way, I don't have to cut them. I only have to cut the next set of boards. It's only 3/8 of an inch difference. They don't have to be perfectly equal, but now I don't have to cut 18 boards, I only have to cut 9. So now that's what I'm doing. I've got the center set, and I'm putting in these joists. 4 steps here. It's just attached with a 2x4 up against this 2x10 right here. There's just some screws that were underneath this first set of steps right there. I took those screws out, and I'm going to pull these steps away. How I'll be able to reuse these is my deck is going to come in about halfway between the top of the existing deck and the ground level down here. So I'm going to cut this probably right here to where this can sit right on top of the new deck, and then I'll have these additional 2 steps that I can use to put out at the end of the new deck and going out into the yard. So I'll just take these out of the way for now and then put them back in later. Alright, now that the framework's done, I've just got to put on the deck boards and screw those down. It's going to be a lot of screwing down, a lot of screws. It should go fairly quickly. You're going to have multiple batteries for your drill unless you've got one that plugs in. I've planned mine out to where I don't have to cut the ends of my deck boards. They're all going to fit on just natural. Again, another huge time saver. There's going to be 30-something boards that's going on here. So the fact that I don't have to cut every last one of them, that's a big time saver and a big back saver. And right now, my back is kicking.
Because you're old.
Because I'm old. Alright, so confession time. Been sitting in the house all winter, ain't really done much out in the yard and all that stuff. A little bit out of shape picking up all these heavy boards. They're heavy. Shut up, they're heavy. I forgot something at Lowe's. I got to go back. Thought I had all my masonry bits. Apparently I don't have as many tools as I used to have. All right, so you'll notice one thing as I'm doing this, and let me just say this as sort of a PSA. It's fun to talk about doing a deck. It's fun to think about a deck. It is fun to enjoy the deck after it's done. Screwing all these boards down, this is some pretty tedious stuff. So if you're thinking, oh, it'll be fun, no, not really, not so much. I've built a bunch of decks, and never have I enjoyed having to go and put 1,000 screws down with some deck boards. Anyway, you'll notice, I'm gonna kind of take you see that gap between the boards there, and then you'll notice as you travel, it gets tight down here. There is no gap. Okay, so that's normal, that's natural. You can't really do anything about that. The boards are going to have a little bit of sort of curve to them. They curve one way or the other, so sometimes you'll get it where it's touching in the middle, but then the two ends will have sort of a little gap, or if you flip it the other way, the two ends will touch and the middle's got a gap. So to combat that, what I'm doing is I come down to one end first and I secure it at the end. Then I come all the way down to the other end where I've got this gap, and I'll take my leg, see if I can get this in here, take my leg and kind of push it against there to where now there's no gap, and then screw it down. And then if you look down the board, you see there's no gap. So I butt my boards up together, and then they'll contract and shrink away a little bit, and then you'll get your little gaps between the boards, which gaps between the boards is kind of important for drainage. You don't want the water from rain to sit on your deck any longer than it has to. So the little gaps are helpful to get the water off of your deck. Finally, after 2 years, my deck is complete. I've been waiting to build this deck ever since we moved in and planning on it. Just haven't had the time and haven't had the money. The total cost of the deck itself, without the lighting, was under $500. And it's 16 by 12. That's 192 square feet for those of you keeping score at home. There's no handrail because it's low enough to the ground. If I had built it higher, that's something to consider, because handrails add quite a bit of cost, or can add quite a bit of cost, depending on what kind of handrail you decide to go with. You can go really cheap, but if you do a cheap handrail, you're going to have a cheap handrail. And really, when you do something like that, it needs to be nice. Now, what we did with these also on the old deck is they were dried out enough from having done that project last year, which I've got a video up. You can look at the deck makeover we did. These were dried out enough to where my wife came in and stained and sealed all these with a Thompson's water seal. It's about 20 bucks for a gallon. It'll cover like 400 square feet, so it's really affordable. And you can see it really makes the wood look nice. It looks rich, and it protects the wood. So under 500 bucks for this deck. I put in some lighting. I think I put some pictures on the video earlier. That's all on remote control. It's LED, so it's going to last forever. Those are at Lowe's also. It's about 28 bucks for an 8-foot section of that. So, you know, the lighting itself, I kept separate from the cost of doing this deck. But for 200 square feet of deck almost, under $500 from the ground up, that's pretty good. I reused the same steps. There were 4 steps here. I cut them in half. And what I did was, when I was measuring, I measured from here down to work out exactly the 2 steps. That gave me my deck height. So a little bit of planning goes a long way. Again, I planned this whole deck to be a certain width so that I didn't have to cut all these deck boards, and that really is a time saver and a back saver, because after 2 days of working, the back of my hamstrings and my ass really hurt. I mean, it feels like I've been in the gym for about 4 days straight, just going at it But I've been put away for all winter, and now it's time to come out. Spring is coming, so I'm getting myself back in DIY shape. So I'll have some more videos coming. I think we're going to post some more pallet sign videos. I know you guys like those. But thanks for watching. If you got any questions, just post them in the comments below. Don't forget to click like and subscribe to the channel to get new content if you haven't done that already. And share on social media. I'm out.